It's been almost a year now since I first laid eyes on this Chevy Tahoe police pursuit vehicle at a state surplus auction here in Delaware. Now, this Tahoe, it was sitting on the auction lot looking tired and worn out, but just waiting for the right fool to come along and get her back on the road again. Now, even after seeing the warning on the windshield about the engine, this fool still decided to bid on this truck, even exceeding the max bid that I set for myself by $500, until I was finally the winner of this Tahoe for a total of $3,200 plus another $30 in auction fees. Now, that's a pretty good price to pay for a good looking and good running Chevy Tahoe. And if you go to eBay and go through the sold listings, you'll find '08 Tahoes in similar condition selling in, say, the $8,000 range. So I knew I had plenty of buffer to cover the cost of the engine repair and other little knickknacks that come up along the way to get this thing running the right way. So the first thing I did, as soon as I got the keys, is I sent the truck down to my buddy's house, who owns a repair shop, and he started breaking down the engine, installing a displacement on-demand delete kit, a new larger cam, new lifters, valve springs, push rods, oil pump, water pump, plugs, wires, serpentine, and all the other little things to get this thing running the right way again. Now, when it comes to my cars, I don't always think clearly, and I've got good evidence of that with that crazy K-car limousine that I bought a while back. But regardless, I decided to double down on this Tahoe and add almost another $2,000 in additional parts, which included exhaust headers and a catback system, a head refreshening, an engine flush, and a bunch of smaller things too, like an AC recharge, a new battery, and an alignment, bringing me to a grand total, right now, $8,300 on this Tahoe. And that $8,300 is a fine amount when you compare to the selling prices of Tahoes on eBay. But that's where I screwed up. You see, the PPVs don't bring in the same dollar amount as a regular Tahoe, say an LT or even an LS model. But you know, that was okay. You see, this was never meant to be a flip. The whole idea with buying this truck was to make it my new family hauler and to replace my Toyota 4Runner. And the thought was I could sell the 4Runner for about what I had invested into this Tahoe, and I would be neutral, money neutral. You know, I'm not losing much, not gaining much, but I'm somewhat in the middle there. And quite frankly, between my wife and I and our 4 kids, we're outgrowing that 4Runner. We really are. This thing is so much bigger, so much more room, plus with the engine upgrades, exhaust, and tune, I'm a little over 400 horsepower, and I've got a mostly rebuilt engine now too. But the point of this video is the risks and the hazards of buying a car at an auction. And it doesn't matter what auction you go to. So much of that risk, though, is the result of not being able to thoroughly test drive and inspect the car before you win it. And so your winning bid has to take that into account. It has to take into account the level of risk that you're assuming, as well as the cost of unexpected repairs that you might have to make too. Now, I've had really good luck buying cars from the state of Delaware, and they do a really nice job with disclosing those big issues like a bad engine or a transmission. But there was a hidden surprise when I got this one. I don't know if I got duped or if it just wasn't a concern. But shortly after I made that video of this Tahoe doing that burnout, I started getting a grinding noise coming from the rear differential. That grinding slowly turned into a crunching noise, which ended up with a total catastrophic loss. Whether that loss was the result of that burnout or the extra horsepower or simply a lifetime of police abuse to this Tahoe, the end result was the same. It was something I had to deal with, something I had to fix. So the truck went back to the shop for the rear differential. The posi carrier was yanked out. The bearings, races, seals, and so forth were all replaced. None of the job was cheap. It was a lot of labor, a lot of cost and parts as well, to the tune of $1,358. Now, if you're keeping track of the finances here, I'm now at a total of $9,650 or so dollars invested into this Tahoe. Some of you guys predicted this too. For instance, MPH commented a while ago, haha, don't do burnouts in these rear ends are weak. And then Philip Ingram, he even chimed in and said, look, don't spend any more money than you need to get that thing running right. And you know, all that was foreshadowing the problems with this thing, whether it's the rear end, the engine, the upgrades, or what this thing is valued at after all the repairs are made. And then there's a handful of you guys that had more colorful, creative comments about my purchase of this Tahoe back at the auction lot. And then there were viewers like Ron Paker who commented that this thing really needed those center caps put on the wheels. The Bronze 2 seconded the center caps and said, hey, fix the hood as well. And that's exactly what I did. For about $6, I was able to get a new hood hinge for the right side of the hood. Took maybe 15 minutes to get it installed. Took 5 or 10 more minutes to help massage that hood a little bit, get it back into shape. And then I was able to get the fit on that hood and the lines and the gaps fit up just about factory. I think one of the biggest surprises I've had so far with this Tahoe though is the amount of support there is and the community evolving around Tahoes. For instance, on Facebook, there's a page called Tahoe Nation, over 21,000 members on there, all willing to lend a hand. Also, there was a viewer named David H. who is parting out a Tahoe PPV, and he does this. He has an eBay store, he parts out cars and trucks, a lot of European stuff. He hooked me up with so many of the little pieces that I needed to really finish off this truck. Things like those center caps, the information buttons, and a matching dash bezel, the center console tray, cup holder, and a few different inside rear view mirrors as well. Look, I sincerely recommend David, if you need any parts for your PPV or any of your other cars, check out his eBay store, shoot him an email. I'm sure he can help you out. He's a great guy and easy to work with too. But I think despite all of the issues I've had with this truck, the engine, the rear differential, the cost, all that is insignificant, because my biggest challenge and the biggest disappointment with this so far is that I just haven't been able to make it my family hauler like I expected to. Look, I went to, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 different junkyards, all within an hour's drive of my house, looking for a third row seat, looking for the 2 captain's chairs for the middle row, so that the 6 of us could be in here and go places and use this the way it's meant to be used. There wasn't a single one of these full-size SUVs, whether it's an Escalade, a Tahoe, a Yukon, didn't matter. Not a single one of those sitting in the junkyard anywhere. Now, if you go to Craigslist or eBay, they're out there. You can find third rows and second row captain's chairs, but not at $600. I'm not paying that. That's stupid money. And the folks that are selling those seats for reasonable amounts, they're so far away, it just doesn't make sense for me to go travel and get them. Now, despite being upside down in this financially, I put this recently online for sale to see what the value is. I mean, I have no idea. And I got some stupid low offers, you know, $3,000, $4,000, whatever. I think there's a segment of the population out there that doesn't understand displacement on demand, doesn't understand that that's the weakest link to these engines, and doesn't understand the cost of replacing those engine parts, doing a DOD delete, the headers, the horsepower, the improvements, and basically having a rebuilt engine raring to go. Now, my other idea with this is that instead of selling, could I just use it as trade bait? Could I trade somebody that has something that I'm interested in? For instance, I was looking at a Mercedes R63 recently, and the dealer was interested in trading, but we weren't quite close enough. But that might be the next step for this Tahoe. Being upside down in this Tahoe is a really good example of the risk you assume when you buy a car at an auction. Sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get, despite being educated and informed and trying to make really good, solid decisions. And that's something I try to educate people about when they fuss about auction prices versus a retail price for a car. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some insight into Tahoe and the risks of buying something at auction. And as always, thanks so much for watching.